Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I'm going to be working on my jade plant. It's a trio of jades. I think they're all cuttings from the same tree, one of our house plants inside. It did fill out, it did grow, but it's still not doing what I want it to do, so this could be a severe haircut for this. I'm also almost at the end of my tropicals. I still have my Texas ebony to take a look at. I may not do much trimming on that. And I've got a couple of Portulacaria afras in tiny little nursery pots that are very top heavy and in need of repotting. So I'm going to do that now, trim them all back, and maybe get a little Portulacaria afra forest going. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, let's get started. So this is my jade. I decided I wanted to try to grow it, so I got 3 cuttings rooted and I put them in a group planting, and the front I had chosen is right there. But as I look at this, you know, if these trunks were just a little wider, my branch placement, my first branch placement would be good, but I don't know how long it takes to get those trunks wider or what I have to do to encourage those trunks to get wider. But what I think I want to do is reorient these trees. That front was nice, but I think if I turn some of these trees around and just recompose the planting, it would be good. This guy right here, this tall, skinny guy that doesn't divide until way up here, I can't have that. And it's not looking real good down below. These leaves are ready to come off. So I'm going to help them along. I got to look at this trunk. They're also a little wrinkly. Maybe I'm not watering this enough. I don't know. It looks great at the tips. So that one I would like to see grow in this direction. And there was a branch, a leaf there. And I think if I cut it, and I don't want any more jades. That sure is a nice cutting. So what I generally do is put these so my wife can see them, and she puppy dog eyes them into a pot somewhere, and we become overrun with houseplants. All right, that is extremely sad looking, but I said I might get drastic in this video. So here's an example of a tree I might turn. It's got a nice low branch, and with the front that I had chosen right about there, it kind of gets behind that trunk. And oh, you're not looking at that front. You see it, but it's behind this trunk. So I would turn that, and I've got a place that I can really get some movement, but the movement will be back toward the other trunk, which is not advisable, but it would help with the taper, which isn't much from here to here. So should I be tempted to cut it back to here? I think so. Yeah, this is going to be drastic. This tree I like. It divides nicely, but they're right opposite one another. So if I were to choose one over the other, this wouldn't be much of a tree. If I'm rotating it, this one comes forward and is in a pretty nice place. It has another branch here that's fine, and one down here that could be a back branch. So I think this one, I'm going to cut off here. I'm trying to get this to do other things, obviously. So if I were to rotate this tree and find a good front for it, well, first of all, look at that trunk. It does taper a bit from here to here. The first branch would be sort of even with the first branch on this tree, which is good. The second branch goes off in a funny direction. I'm going to cut this leaf off so you can see that. I don't know what transpired. There must have been a cut there, and well, there was a cut there, and or a broken branch. I remember some of these were really top heavy and stuff broke. So, I mean, it's ugly from that view, but from this view, it looks fine. So I'm just gonna cut the tip off of this. Cut these old leaves off. I really want to see what's going on. I'm going to throw some of those leaves on a pot I have over there with just things that drop off of jades, and the way they propagate sometimes is a riot. You'll just see, you know, the leaf lying there, and all of a sudden there'll be little leaflets coming off in the other direction and roots forming on the other end. All right, so this is pretty small now. So what do I do? What do I do with those tips? You know, I'm inclined to let them grow. If this comes inside, it's going to experience, you know, a change in climate. It's been in the greenhouse. I've been able to maintain temperatures in the 50s and 60s, and sometimes during the day it gets up to about 80. So between like 25 degrees Celsius, a little above, a little below. And it's been doing okay. I don't water it much. So check this out. This comes up, this divides into two way up here, which is great. So this has divided into two already. This one has divided into two. This one has not. I'm going to take the middle out of this. I've got some interference here, but I'm not worried about interference right now, since I am going to reorient these trees in this pot. I'm going to leave those the way they are at this point. All right, let me think about what I need to do with this big tree. I'm gonna remove this old leaf, first of all. It has a couple of good fronts. Just looking at the big tree, that's a reasonable front. So if that were the front, I want to take advantage of all of these branches that have developed, and I want to get some interesting movement happening. So I'm going to take this part off. And I want this to start growing back in this direction forward. So I'm going to take this top off. So no longer am I considering this the front, so I'm retiring these two markers. So I probably want this to subdivide also. I mean, I definitely want that to subdivide. And the place I would love it to subdivide is down where I pruned it last time, and it only sent up one shoot. So I'm going to cut it here. And maybe I'll get something going in that direction, which would be good for this composition as it currently stands. I'm going to leave this leaf for now. It's not too bad. It's one of the ones that'll come off. I'll take this one off and this one. And since this, I want it in a small pot, I'm wondering if I should cut this one here. I don't think so. It's growing in an interesting direction, and the leaves that are coming out have some twist to them as well. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and zoom in post-production. All right. I accomplished the goal of making this smaller to bring it in the house. I've also thought through the processes that will be coming up next for this planting. And that'll just be a reorientation, maybe in the same pot, maybe actually using the front of the pot in the composition rather than deciding later on, you know, for wherever the roots fit. I don't know how much root work I did on this, but it would be nice to see what's going on down there too. All right. I'm also going to be working on those little Portulacaria afras, so that will be up next.